So the concept here, we called it LadderUP, which is, it's really about continuing education, skills development, professional development for nurses. And what they do is really with nurses have about 20%, or not 20, 30% of provider organizations are typically nurses. So it's a pretty standard number. So from our user base, this is a huge community, frontline workers, and building skills, typical best practice, always around attracting and retaining talent, but also specifically towards a Magnet Award designation, which is a nursing quality award. That's a big deal for a hospital, says a lot about the quality of their nursing. So these programs that they have are about skills that they kind of get a program throughout the year, and they demonstrate skills, they perform activities, and this is measured. There's points values associated to it, and it comes back around at the end once they've completed it in the form of promotions, raises, bonuses. So it's also right to the pocketbook of the nurses. So currently they either have nothing and it's just a painful process. They have some home built thing, also probably a painful process. So the thought is we can make a much more elegant solution through a Power App and leveraging the overall ecosystem. Okay, so we just kind of hit this from a couple of the user journeys for the time that we had today for the hackathon. First one is from the nursing. So for them, just being able to go in, create a profile, upload, document any types of degrees, certifications they have, get an approval to go into the program itself, get that program with their manager. Once they've got the approval, make sure they've got all their tasks and be able to push that ahead. So we have the nurses and then the managers as well would go through and be able to kind of get the approval itself, would do that, work collaboratively with the nurse that's applying, get the right activities assigned within the program, proceed ahead. But then throughout this, have like an individual dashboard as well as a manager and even leadership type dashboards for reporting on progress and status where they're at as they go through that. So that's conceptually where this was going to head.
I would say collectively as a group where we spent a lot of our time, as you can see from what Mark had presented, is we spent a lot of time going through our nurse journey and our manager customer journey. And what was listed sort of on those slides there is we also spent a lot of time of taking a look at what we thought the relationships were needed between our data. So we spent a lot of time doing some data mapping on the back end, because as Mark explained, we have in this nurse activity, in this program, we have learning programs that they could potentially align to. So that could be something like innovation. And under that innovation learning program, there could be activities that they have to complete in order to achieve that curriculum, getting 100% on that curriculum. So very similar to probably a lot of the training that you do here at Microsoft. There's an overarching sort of program, and underneath that program, there could be separate activities like watching a video or attending a live session that nurse had to complete. So we spent a lot of time on the back end mapping that data to ensure that when nurses were able to upload their qualifications, so if they felt like they potentially didn't need to complete part of these activities or part of the program, they can do that. So making sure that we created forms to intake that data, and then also ensuring that every program was mapped to the right amount of activities. So just sharing here that we did do a lot of data mapping with our tables here to ultimately create this model-driven app where, as you can see, I am a nurse here. I'm a nighttime nurse. And if I log into my personal record, I can see that I've uploaded some qualifications here. So I do have a bachelor's of nursing. Maybe that could disqualify me from having to attend some of the programs here. And at any point, if I wanted to continue to upload my qualifications, I do have the ability to start including additional qualifications like degrees, certifications, or work experience. And then within this timeline here, I can upload any notes that might be relevant or upload any certification PDFs, just proving that I did receive that certification. Team, am I missing anything before I move on to the activities and the programs?
No, I would say only that the programs are well defined based upon the information Mark provided. And of course, each program has got a whole list of activities, just put in a very sparse amount of data.
Yeah, exactly. Mark was gracious enough to give us some of his examples from his clients. So on screen here, you can see there's 4 programs that are active that are basically learning tracks: exemplary professional practice, innovation and improvements, structural improvement, and transformation leadership. Underneath each of these programs, we have aligned our activities. So for instance, exemplary professional practice. In order to satisfy the curriculum for this, you need to watch a video. These are just examples that we obviously threw in here. It's probably more arduous for continuous education for nurses than just watching a video. It could be things like finishing a clinical rotation, but each of those activities were assigned to a specific program. Where we sort of stopped just because of timing is not really getting to the managerial phase. I think in the future where this app can take us or go is once a nurse really inputs his or her qualifications and says, hey, this is my qualification. I think I should be exempt from a learning program. We can use our Power Automate tools to automate an approval to the manager. And the manager there can say, okay, great. I saw that Melissa has her bachelor's degree in nursing. She no longer has to take the exemplary professional practice learning path. So I think we definitely would want to include some other pieces like Power Automate so that we can take a look at those nurses' schedules and make sure that they're up to date. And then lastly, I would say, as Mark mentioned, for the managers of the team, definitely providing an overview or a dashboard of activities that are completed. If we have any nurses that are potentially falling behind based on the due dates of their activities, how do we then automate maybe an email, a reminder that says, hey, this training needs to be completed. The deadline is coming up, using tools like Power Automate as well to automate reminders, letting our nurses know that training is coming up and they should get started on that.